Hello, everyone. It is Tom Abbott here from SoCo Sales Training. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm so excited to have you guys and to be talking about probably one of the most important topics of. Oh, I know what that is. Hold on half a second. We're also live on YouTube right now, so I think that's what we got going on. This is exciting stuff. Here we go. Let me shut that down. All right, cool. So before we officially get started, I just want to make sure all the tech is working really quickly. So for all of you on the call right now, if you can hear me and if you can see me, please type in yes in the chat. Please type in yes in the chat and we'll get going. Okay, cool. Isaac is here. It's good to have you here. Oh, Angelo and Sren. Perfect. Okay, good stuff. Oh, I can hear the thunder outside. My goodness. All right, cool. So I'm just going to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to take you through this. Again, I'm super thrilled to have you guys here with us today. We're going to have a great time, so thanks for spending your time with us today. So let me share this screen, and we are just going to rock and roll. Put this on for you guys. Okay, glad you guys can hear and see me. Just nice. Good stuff. So this is going to be a very interactive webinar as well. So I want you to sit back, relax, and participate because I want to hear from you guys as well. And I'm going to be asking you a number of questions. We got some really important poll questions that we're going to go through very shortly. So welcome, everyone. Let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tom Abbott. And we also have another trainer on our team called Juan Song, and he's great. He joined us a few months ago, and he's also delivering some of our sales training programs. And for those of you who don't know me, I am, of course, the founder and managing director of an award-winning sales training company, SoCo Sales Training. I've delivered hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of motivational sales keynotes and kickoffs and presentations and workshops in over 20 countries throughout APAC and the world. And I am passionately committed to optimizing the sales performance of organizations worldwide. I'm also the founder, or rather the author, of 2 books on sales, the Soho Solution, 21 Selling Strategies for Growing Your Business, and Social Selling, 10 Essential Strategies to Prospect, Position, and Present using social media. Now, that particular book, that topic is super important right now because we are in very strange times right now, very strange times. The future is unknown. That's what's happening right now. Of course, these are unprecedented times. We've never faced a situation like this before. So now more than ever, we need to start thinking of ways that we run our businesses and how do we manage our teams, especially in situations where people have to work from home. So before we keep going, I want to ask you guys a question. I've got a poll question that I want to ask you guys. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen real quick and ask you all a question here. So I want to make sure that we've got who we need on this on this call today. So let me stop sharing here and let's get down to our first poll question. Let's launch this. So I want to hear from you guys. So I've just launched this poll. How has this current situation affected your business? Better than ever? I'd be shocked. Better than ever? Is it business as usual? Is it slower than usual? Or are you just pulling your hair out? Are you driving yourself crazy? Do you just wish this whole thing was over? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. We've got about 70% of votes so far. So I am going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results with you all right now and find out how has this situation affected our business. And here we have it. I'm going to share these results with you right now. Unsurprisingly, no one said better than ever, but 14% said, hey, business as usual. So that's really encouraging. 43% slower than usual. That would be to be expected. And 43%, I'm sad to report, you're pulling your hair out. Look, so what my promise is to you on this webinar is by the end of it, you won't be pulling your hair out anymore. You're actually going to have a few concrete, easy to apply strategies to actually get through this and to manage your sales teams remotely. So let me just stop sharing this poll right here. And let me get back to sharing my screen for you all right now. Okay. And I just want to do a quick check-in here. Can you just type into the chat? Can you all still hear me okay as I navigate with things here? Yeah, can you still hear me all right? Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate that. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So I got my camera going here. Let's play this. All right. And can you see my screen still? Yeah, let's check this out. Okay. Oh, nope, could not see my screen. All right, all right. Okay, so let me share this with you guys right now and share. All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, so we are in unprecedented times, of course. And of course, with social distancing, this is changing things. So the current situation right now, obviously people have to start working from home, or maybe they're splitting their teams, or unfortunately for some people, their businesses have closed altogether. I mean, this is obviously changing the way we work, the way we sell, and also the way that we deliver our solutions. So this is obviously very disruptive for most businesses. So on a side note, something that's really interesting is that the government, of course, does want us to continue training. So this is something that we've been hearing with recent announcements. The Singapore government does, in fact, want us to continue training. And as of today, I saw a report that up to 40 people, training for up to 40 people can be conducted as long as the appropriate social distancing methods are applied. So that's a really important note for any of you that have put off training for any reason. Well, not for any reason, but for this reason. The good news is the Singapore government says it's okay to proceed with training as long as it's less than 40 people and you adhere to the social distancing and other protocols, the hand washing, the temperatures, the sanitizing, all of that kind of stuff. And in fact, we just delivered a sales training program 2 days ago for a customer here in Singapore. It was a small team, about 10 to 12 people, and we observed all those protocols, and we had a really great time. I mean, when we talk about social distancing, we need the distancing, I get it, but it's hard to lose the social element. So it's sort of like, how can we maintain that person-to-person feeling while keeping safe? So that was really encouraging news from the Singapore government. So I want to launch another poll here for you guys. All right, let's see here. I want to know what you guys are doing. So let me share this. I'm going to launch this poll. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I'm going to launch this poll. How has the current situation affected your work life? Are you all working in the office as usual? Have you decided to split your teams? So many companies that we work with, they've got some teams working half time and the other teams coming the other half, mornings, afternoons, on days, off days. Do you have all of your staff maybe working from home? We sure do. As of this week, Monday, we've got all of our team working from home. So we feel like they're safe, we're feeling good, and they're obviously feeling more hopeful about the situation. And then, are you preparing for your staff to work from home? So where do you fit here? We'll give you a couple moments to respond. Okay, so we've got about 58% of people having voted. Would love to hear from a few more people. That way we have an accurate poll. Okay, 66% have voted. It looks like working from home is in the lead right now. Some of you have split teams. 13% of you so far are preparing for staff to work from home. Okay. Okay, we haven't heard from everyone. Oh, it looks like someone's raised their hand. Srin, do you have a question? Srin, if you have a question for me, please just type it into the chat, okay? Any questions, please type in the chat and I'll answer. Okay. And something really cool. So if you have any questions at all, please do feel free to ask in the chat. Plus, we're recording this right now from my home office, right? This is one of our spare rooms here. I've got it set up really nicely. I've got my MacBook Air and my Thunderbolt display here. We've got some great lighting. The audio is great. I've got the aircon going there, so I'm feeling wonderful. We've got our signs from the office are here in this room. So I really feel like I'm at work, which is great. So I'll talk more about ways to make your home environment more conducive to work in a few minutes. So let's end this poll right now. And I'm going to share the results with you. All right. Okay, so, all right. So 38% of you split teams. Half of you have all of your staff working from home. I imagine most of you then are on the call right now from home. So thanks for joining. And then again, 13% preparing for staff to work from home. All right, cool. So let's stop this poll and let us go back to sharing. All right. So I imagine most of you, let's do this here. Most of you have been working from home for a while, or at least split teams to start. So it feels like we are now in the new normal. So how do we do that? How do we set up for remote work? So for some of you that have never done this, this will be quite unusual. So let me just do a quick check-in here. I always want to make sure everything is fine. I'm going to stop sharing real quick and just ask, were you guys able to see my slides that I just shared right now? Could you see my slides just now? Yes. Okay, good, good, good. Perfect, 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 perfect. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Angelo. Perfect. Okay, so let me go back to sharing because sharing is caring. All right. So how do we prepare? How do we get ready to work from home? It's not easy at all. So it's time now to adapt and time to start learning how we can effectively manage our teams no matter where they are. And we need to give them the tools to succeed. This is super important. So I got a question for you. If your staff are working remotely, okay, so I've got one quick poll here that I just want to just get a pulse of you guys, okay? So for those of you that say that your team is working remotely, will they all be able to do everything they need to do? Okay, so just real quick, I want to know if your staff is working remotely, and that was about 50% of you said, yep, will they be able to do all of their duties? Okay. So for example, our team, absolutely, everybody can do their jobs at home, super easy. For others, well, not everything. Even worse, some of our customers are retail. Well, look, if they have to work from home, what exactly are they going to be doing? How are they supposed to sell? So let me end this poll and share the results. This is quite interesting, okay? It was an even split. A third of you said yes for everyone. A third was, some things, but not everything. And then the remaining third, some will and some won't. So these are certainly challenging times. So let's get back to this. So something that we've noticed, and the good news is we've actually been using technology for years. In fact, when we first got started, we worked from home. That's how we started before we got an office on Venture Drive in the Vision Exchange building here in Singapore. Before we had a team of people, we worked from home. So for us, this isn't that difficult. I mean, you've got to get yourself ready and set up and everything. But it's different when you start including a team and there's other people that maybe have never worked before. So communication is really important. So let me give you a few tips here. Communication is all about getting the team mentally prepared for remote work. I mean, this is the process. You got to ease them into it. So give them a pep talk to prepare them for the transition. Super important. Get them ready, ease them in. Let them know that everything's going to be okay. It's business unusual, but we're still moving forward and we're trying our best. So give them a pep talk and prepare them for the transition. Our team, in fact, started working from home this week. As I mentioned, they started on Monday working from home. But we did have them come in beforehand to pick up their equipment. And then that's where we gave them a pep talk to get them ready for this transition. So I think getting the team together, you sit them around, you just explain what's going on and talk about how is this going to work and that we're going to get through this together. Let them know that the transition won't be easy. So be honest with them. Let them know that there are distractions. Believe me, I know that. And any of you working from home would agree. There's distractions. There's the fridge, all the food in the pantry. There's household chores like tidying up and doing the laundry. But you really need to stay focused and set clear boundaries. Create a routine. So imagine you are going to work. Well, get up, have some breakfast, have your coffee, your tea, and get yourself ready, right? Get settled. Maybe do a few chores around the house first to make sure that your area is nice and clean, and then get started at 9 a.m. like a normal business day. Get ready. Have a nice, clean environment where everything is tidy and everything is where you need it, so you feel mentally prepared to work. One thing that really works well for me here in the home office is I totally feel like I'm in the office. I've got things that are familiar. I've got the posters behind me. I've got this poster here, which I always keep on my desk at our office at Vision Exchange here in Singapore. So I'm always, feeling like I'm in familiar territory here in the office, right? So tidy up your area and get ready. You also want to enjoy the perks. Really, there are some serious advantages to working from home. I mean, obviously, let's face it, you can sleep in a little bit longer. You get to have a more leisurely breakfast. For us, we got to spend a bit more quality time with the kids this morning before they went to school, because instead of us also trying to get dressed and rush out the door to go to the office, we could just enjoy our breakfast this morning and spend some time with them with a lot less yelling, right? So that's a lot of fun. You get to have lunch with your family if you're all working from home, or if you've got, your mother or your father is staying at home, or if you've got a partner who's staying at home, you get to enjoy lunch together. That's super special. I really, really have been valuing that. And of course, you're going to save time commuting. Why waste all this time in the car or the MRT? We're spending like half an hour to an hour each way just going to and from work. You could be sleeping in, you could be getting started on work, which is awesome. I mean, I've been starting first thing in the morning and just kind of, spacing things out. So there's some definite advantages to working from home. Now, here's the thing though, when you are working, you've got to be 110%. So tell your team that. You expect 110% effort when they're working from home. So they got to save their chores, their social media, and other distractions for their breaks, okay? Maybe they have a mid-morning coffee break, they have lunch, they have a mid-afternoon break. Save all the Facebooking and the Instagramming for those times. But when you're on, you're 110% on. So you've got to let your family know this too. That's the hard part. You have your own self-discipline, but maybe the people around you feel like, you're on a holiday or it's vacation and they can come in and interrupt you whenever they want. Please, you got to let them know and remind your team to let their families know that they are in a work environment and they're working from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 with a 1-hour break for lunch and a couple of afternoon or morning breaks. You've got to get buy-in from your family to make this work. So for us, for example, we've let our helper and kids, do the same. So it's not easy. There's going to be times where, we're going to get interrupted, but we try our best to minimize these things, our kids are home right now. Talk about risky, right? Our kids are home right now. And our helper, Auntie Joy, is just playing with the kids in their room, keeping them occupied and hopefully keeping them quiet. But that's just the reality. If they come crashing in here, I'm not going to freak out like that dude on BBC a couple of years back. I would introduce you to them on the camera and say, hey, here's my boys. You know what I'm saying? You can't take life too seriously. Have some fun, but try to set some boundaries. And the last tip that I want to share here before we move on to something else is, when you work from home, it's critical for you to be super laser focused. Really. It's so easy to get distracted, shiny object syndrome. But in order for this to work, in order for you to get the most out of your team, there has to be a commitment where they're going to be working together 110%. You need that commitment from your team. So let me just do a quick check-in here. I'm going to stop, sharing my screen, and I just want to check in with you all. Can you all just type in yes in the chat if you're getting any value here today? Okay, thank you, Isaac. Perfect. Okay, cool. This is great. Thanks, Marge. Okay, perfect. Good. So I hope you're going to find this useful as you move ahead. So let's talk now about some video tools. I think that's going to be super important. So let me share my screen again. And now we'll get to some technical stuff I think you guys are going to find really useful. Okay. So let's talk about some communication tips. Communication tips? Oh, communication tools. Yes. Okay, good. So let's talk about the how. So we already talked about like the mindset that you need to get mentally prepared. Now let's talk about what are actually some of the tools that you can use in order to get your work done. All right. So obviously, video, what we're doing right now, is the next best thing to face-to-face. So use it whenever you can. What I do with our team is I'm doing daily and weekly video calls with my staff, kind of depending on what their role is. And we're using Zoom. That's our primary tool that we're using is Zoom. Okay, it looks like I got a couple of questions here. Let me just really quick check these out here to make sure everyone's good. Oh, I missed the last slide. Oh, on communication tips. Well, that's what Elaine was telling me. Oh, of course. Of course. Thank you very much. Let's go back. Communication tips, right? I glossed over this, all right? Let me just share with you before we talk about the communication tools. Let me share with you some communication tips that are going to help you, stay in better contact with your team when they're working remotely. So the number one challenge that we're all going to face when our staff move to remote work is communication. It's just not as easy, right? Like when you're working in an office, it's so easy to just turn side to side or walk into somebody's office, tap them on the shoulder, ask them a question. You see them in the hall or in the pantry. It's just not the case when you work from home. It's a lot easier to become isolated and on your own. So the first thing you have to do is realize, hey, it's going to take more effort. You're not going to be able to see if your team is struggling or if they get distracted. You can't look over their shoulder and see if they're on Facebook or something like that. So it takes an extra effort. And that's something that you as leaders need to do. I mean, you can't pop in or turn around and talk to them. So it takes extra effort. So you have to realize that. So what I suggest you do on a regular basis is hop on a call, either a voice call or a video call, and explain things to them whenever you can. Don't avoid video. Okay, so explain things as best you can because a lot gets lost through email or chat. So for example, I know in my case, I used to get frustrated when I would type something in our chat. So we use Slack, and I'll talk about that later. I used to get frustrated if there was a lot of back and forth by email or chatting in Slack, if I felt like someone didn't quite understand or get what I was talking about. So the quickest way to remove that frustration, did you guys hear that? It is stormy weathers here in Singapore. Now, hopefully this isn't a metaphor for bad weather ahead, but let's just leave that as it is, right? So hop on a call. You know, just before we did this webinar, I talked through a course outline with Song. So we're developing a new course. It's going to be awesome. It's retail selling skills, and we just put the finishing touches on the course outline. So rather than just go back and forth, we just hopped on a video call and we could talk through. We both had the document. We just went through it together, and it just feels like we're in the office together. It honestly just felt really, really good. So be sure to do that so you avoid any miscommunication or misinterpreting things. Hop on a video call. You could record some quick videos to explain things. So for example, we have a sales rep in the Philippines who's been working remotely forever with us. And Elaine wanted to show her how to do some tagging in Infusionsoft. So rather than drop her an email or type it in the chat, she just grabbed her phone, DIY, nothing fancy, and she just recorded herself adding tags and creating notes and assigning tasks in Infusionsoft, and then just sent her a video of the recording. Super easy. So you just have to make the extra effort when your staff is working remotely, but when you do it, it actually makes things super easy. Another thing that we do is say good morning to your staff every single day. At 9 a.m., all of us just type in the chat, you know, hey, good morning, have a great day, let's crush this, you're awesome, you've got this. Just something encouraging, and just check in and say hello. So make sure that they do that. We also ask the staff at the start of the day to tell us what they're going to be working on. What are their #1 priorities today? So we do that at the start of the day. And we also ask them to let us know when they're going for lunch. So this has been really great with our remote staff, is they all check in and say, you know, hey, I'm going for lunch. And then they'll check back in, back from lunch, right? And then at the end of the day as well, we all sign off and they let us know what did they work on today, what were their biggest wins, what are they most proud of. Like, this is awesome, right? And we're always checking in throughout the day. So it honestly doesn't feel much different than it did when we were in the office, you know? Check in with them every couple of hours, just see how they're doing. With a couple of folks on our team, we're checking in like every hour. You know, we'll set some goals. So for example, with Song, we had him working on the course outline, said, okay, great, I'd like to see a draft outline in an hour and a half. So he has a very clear, specific goal to work on. And I'm here if he needs some support, of course, in that time. But then we just meet up and then we go through it together. And then just before this call, I assigned him a task of, okay, so let's get that first module of this course ready for me to review by 5:30 this evening, right? So very clear tasks. And he knows that I'm here when he needs me, and we check in with each other on a regular basis. So that's really important. Over communicate. Honestly, you cannot over communicate. Most people, if anything, they under communicate. So in order to make remote working work, you've really got to over communicate and make that extra effort to stay in touch. And of course, as I mentioned, let them know when you're signing off for the day. All right, let's move on to some of the communication tools that we use and some of our other customers are using as well. So of course, video is the next best thing to being there live in person. But we do, like I said, we do daily video calls, weekly for some of our teams to do a bigger check-in, but then we're also checking in throughout the day. So video is awesome. We use Zoom. A lot of people are using it, but there's a whole bunch of other tools that you can use as well. So you could use Zoom or WebEx, GoToMeetings, Skype. There's Google Hangouts. There's like WhatsApp video calls. I mean, there's everything out there. So I'm curious. I'm gonna ask you guys this poll question right now. I'm gonna launch this poll. I want to find out, what tools are you using right now? So let me launch this poll. Here we go. Can you guys hear that thunder? That is crazy. Well, Singapore is all about afternoon showers, right? It's Okay, cool. So this is multiple choice. You guys can just choose as many of the tools that you're using. All right, looks like 66% of you have voted. Okay, let's get you all to vote in the polls, please. Cool, because the more votes we get, obviously just makes the data that more robust and more accurate. Okay. So let me end this poll, and I'm going to share the results with you guys. It looks like Skype is the far and away favorite. All right, 63% of you are using Skype. That's interesting. We started using Skype, but now we're using Zoom and WhatsApp video like all the time. In second place is Zoom, right? I bet you shares of Zoom, all of these platforms, I'm sure all of their stock prices have gone up in the last month, so I'm sure they're doing quite well. You've got WhatsApp video at 38%. That's super easy. Great to stay in touch, especially when you have like group chats as well. You can do that super easy. And we've got WebEx at 38%, and then Google Hangouts at only 25%. Well, that's interesting. So I guess Google is slipping a little bit. It's a sad day for them, I suppose. Okay, so let me stop sharing this, and let's keep going. So be sure to use these tools, right? These ones are really going to be critical to having business, as usual as possible. So there's also virtual phones. So let me talk about this for a minute. So there's a variety of phone systems available. And this is actually one of my favorite tech tools that we use. And you can just Google virtual phone system to find a variety of solution providers. There's a lot out there. But let me just, if I can steer you in the direction that we've been using anyway, it's called justcall.io. And it seems like all the tech companies these days are using .io. It's so interesting, right? So we're using something called justcall.io. And it's tools like this that let you monitor your remote team's calls even when they're not in the office. So that's pretty cool. So that you can monitor their activity. So this is actually quite handy. So for us, we get notices on Slack. So we're using Slack as a communication tool. We get notices in Slack every single time a call is made, and that call is recorded to the contact that they're speaking to in our CRM. So let me explain that again. So we're using justcall.io. So when any of our sales reps, and we've got two, we've got one rep in the Philippines and then one in Vancouver, Canada. We run two different businesses, eh? That was the Canadian in me just came out when I said A. So we've got two different companies and two reps, and each of those reps is using justcall.io. It integrates seamlessly with their phone. So they get a number, it syncs with their phone, it goes into Slack, it syncs with the contact that they're calling through Infusionsoft, which is our CRM. So we can always log in, see that there were calls made. We can monitor how many calls are they making. And it's just a good practice to actually listen to the recordings of the calls and then give your team feedback on how they're doing. So it's just a wonderful tool for sales management anyway to be recording calls. But now more than ever, it's super important when you've got your teams working remotely, just to make sure that they're actually working, right? That's super important. So I'm curious. Let me ask you guys another question here. I want to know how many of you have staff that will be making phone calls from home, right? So how many of you have staff that need to make phone calls from home? Right. And how are they going to do it, right? That's really the question. How are they going to be making those calls? Are they using their own mobile phones? Is there an online system where you can track their work like we're doing with justcall.io? Are they using Skype or Zoom or something like that? Or maybe they don't make any calls from home. Okay. Let us end this poll. Okay. And I just want to say a big thanks to those of you on the call that are really active. Like I can see you guys you're chatting with me in the chat, you're taking the polls. It's like the same group is doing this, right? So, thanks for your participation. This makes the webinar just a lot more interactive, a lot more fun, and more valuable because we're just getting more useful data, right? If nobody responds to the polls, no one's going to know what's going on out there. So thanks again for your participation. This is awesome. Okay. So let me end the poll right now, and I'm going to share the results with you guys. Let's check this out. Okay. So 56% of you reported that your team is using their own phones. Obviously, that's kind of the easiest in the short term. You say, hey, just make calls using your phone. 33% are using Zoom or Skype. Now, what's cool about Zoom is you can record those calls. So sometimes I'll use Zoom for sales calls, especially if it's a video call like this. And in fact, we're going to be doing a webinar coming up, I think next week, on how to sell remotely. So that's going to be a webinar exclusively available for our SoCo Academy subscribers, and I think some of our biggest customers. I have to double check. So it's by invitation only, but if you're one of those people, you'll be invited to join that webinar. It's going to be awesome on how to sell using technology in these challenging times. So that's going to be great. And I love Zoom because you can record the calls and you can review them later, of course. What was my body language like on that call? What was the customer doing or saying? So, and it's great to debrief calls when you record them. So super valuable. And only one of you is using an online system that can track their work. So this is a great takeaway for all of you guys. Look into it. Google justcall.io and some other similar services and see if this might be right for your team. It's really, really useful. It's been a game changer for us, I can tell you that. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, these virtual phones. Okay. Actually, let me ask you guys real quick. Can you guys just type in the chat, did you find that tip about the virtual phones useful? Because it sounds like very few of you are using it. So I'm just wondering if you thought that tip was really useful. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Isaac. I'm glad. Check it out. Yeah, I'll type it in here again. Exploring it. Cool. Yeah, justcall.io. I don't get a commission either. I should get commissions for everything I talk about. CRMs and phone things like this. Anyway, you should check that out. All right, cool. All right. Yeah, would need something available on mobile phone. Well, the great thing is you can have the phone number forwarded to the mobile phone. That's what's really great. So that's what we're doing. They actually make their call from the mobile phone, but then it gets tracked through justcall.io. So that's neat. Anyway, yeah, if it's all decided by your HQ, send them a link. Yeah, super cool. And there's an app for the mobile phone. So you can actually, when you subscribe to justcall.io, there's actually an app that you can download on the phone. So our sales rep, for example, in Canada, she's not even logging in through her laptop. She's doing everything on her phone and it's recording those calls. It's awesome. And then what we can do is we can log into the back end and listen to all the calls. I give her feedback. So it's just wonderful from a sales coaching perspective as well, and sales enablement. never mind the tracking of their behavior when they're working remotely. So anyway, oh, I don't think I shared the results, did I? Or maybe I did, right? So real quick, 56% use their own phones. I did, perfect, okay, good. So let's move on. I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm gonna go back and share my screen. Yeah, so I'm just loving technology now more than ever. It's kind of taking us to the next level, which is so cool. So let's look at some organization tools, right? So we've talked about communication tips and some communication tools, but how do you actually stay organized when you've got your team working remotely? So of course, you're gonna have things like CRM, right? So CRM tools for sure. I'm not gonna list them all out because there were so many of them, and I'm sure you're already using your own now. Wink, wink. I hope you are. I'm going to pull you on that later. But this is one of the main things that's going to keep you guys on track. If you've got your CRM tool and then people can log into the CRM from home. File sharing services like Dropbox or G Suite. So we've moved all of our folders into Dropbox. So we used to have everything stored on an external hard drive in the office, and we had it networked, and that was working fine in the office. But as we anticipated the need to work remotely, and then honestly, it's always been a pet project of ours to have it in the cloud so that we can access it no matter where we are in the world. Or if I'm traveling and I'm giving a talk or doing training halfway around the world, and I'm like, oh, I forgot a slide deck, or I want this or that, I could just access it on the cloud without having to ask the team to dig it up for me and send it to me through Slack or something. So these file sharing services are so useful. And then of course, with Dropbox, we've got the Dropbox business suite, if I'm not wrong. And that just allows us to access all of the shared files that used to be in the office, but now we can all access them from home. So we're a lot more productive. You don't have to worry about version 1 or version 2 or version 3 of a file being floated around by email so it could get lost or corrupt or who knows what. And it's just so much easier. So as I said, we're using Dropbox for Business, and it has a whole bunch of admin tools that allow you to manage files and access levels a whole lot easier. So you can put some privacy settings on there. There are certain files or folders that you want some people to have access to and not have access to. So it's great for security as well. It's awesome. Google Docs, of course, a lot of people have been using Google Docs. And inside Dropbox, they actually have this feature called Paper. So Paper is kind of the Google Docs version for Dropbox. There's also Mac Pages, Numbers, and Notes. All of these things can be used. And what we've done is we're using a combination of all of those things because we're in the Mac environment. And we use Google Docs for some things. So we're using a combination, but then we're just moving them all to Dropbox so they're easily accessible in one central location. So I love that. There's also chat tools that you guys could be using, whether it's WhatsApp groups, on your phone, or we use that, and also Slack. And Slack has been a great tool to say good morning to everybody, to check in, to share some tips and ask questions and whatnot. And we've had a channel to all share our office setup. So we've got a Slack channel called General and one called Random, where we just share random, unwork related things. And something we just did over the last couple of days is we've been taking selfies of us in our various home office setups, just to kind of, share with each other what it's like working from home. And honestly, to see photos of people, our team is all over the world. So to see photos of our team in their work environment at home has been really cool, and it's brought us all much closer together. So that's been really fun. And that's a great way to kind of build this team spirit as well. So that's been awesome. There's also like some office memes that have been shared. So like, here's a really cool one that Elaine shared with the team at the office. And I love this, right? Every few days it would be smart to put your jeans on just to make sure they still fit. Pajamas and sweats will have you believe all is well. So Sometimes eating from home with the fridge nearby can be a bit tricky. And I love this too. Some work from home fashions. Super funny, super funny. So I want to ask you guys a question about like what your situation's like. And I think I've got a quick question here in the chat as well. Let me just take a look and answer that. Oh, okay, right. I like this. Gabriel just sent a message. He said that he's sure that right now I'm wearing shorts and that only the shirt is visible on the webcam. So let me do a quick unofficial poll. If you think I only have shorts on underneath, type yes in the chat now. Is Tom only wearing shorts? Yeah, it looks, it's split. It's split. It's hard to say. Here's the big reveal. Oh, how? Jeans, jeans, jeans. Oh man. Thank you for that, Gabriel. That was really fun. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? It could be very tempting. It could be very tempting to just be in your shorts all day or to wear a singlet and just kind of like relaxing, okay? Now, of course, if it's hot, I get it. But the reality is you want to feel like you're at work, right? So you want to feel like you're at work. So you can dress down a little bit. I mean, of course, I'm wearing a pair of jeans and I don't have a tie on or anything like that, but I'm wearing a nice shirt because you never know when you need to talk to a customer. You never know. So you got to be ready. Get up, shave, get dressed, and just be ready for work because you also feel better too. You honestly feel better when you look better. That's just the reality. I mean, you feel like you're ready to work. So that's cool. So thanks for that. I'm glad I could demonstrate the appropriate office attire. Okay, cool. So definitely, please, these work from home fashions you see on your screen, these are a no-no, okay? So let's talk about some productivity tools. Oh, no, I was gonna ask you, sorry, I was gonna ask you what CRM tool you guys are using right now. I'm super curious about that. Let me stop sharing and ask you that. Yeah, what organizational, not CRM tools. I wanna ask you what organization tools you guys are using right now. And you can choose a multiple. Are you using CRM, Dropbox, G Suite? What are you doing? Let's go. All right, here we go. It looks like, who's in the lead? My goodness, we got a good mix here. Let's keep it going. Yeah, what are you guys using? Oh, good. But 57% CRM? You guys, I thought it would be more than that. Wow. Okay, we've got space for a few more votes here. Let's go. Has everybody voted? Okay, I'm going to keep the poll open for another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let us end this poll. Let me share the results with you guys. Okay, so far and away, the leader is CRM. Most of you are using CRM, but I got to tell you guys, only 57% of you are using CRM. It's only 6 out of 10. That's barely half. You guys need to be using a CRM just to stay organized. And when I say CRM, come on, I'm not talking about, okay, so CRM, whether it's Salesforce or Infusionsoft, what are you using? Are you using a spreadsheet? Maybe you're writing things on your hand. I don't know, but you've got to track your leads, guys. Because if you have a CRM, everyone in the organization, your whole sales team can be on the same page, and that's going to make it easier for you as a leader to track their performance as far as closing deals. So in second, of course, you got Dropbox. So that's pretty cool. G Suite, Slack. So yeah, only a third of you are using Slack. That's interesting. WhatsApp, again, only about 43%. Password management like LastPass. So only 29% are using LastPass. We love LastPass because that's another way that you can protect your documents. You don't want to be trying to think of passwords or give your staff passwords because then they can change it. But when you use a password management tool like LastPass, you as the administrator control that, and you just send them the access, but they can never see the password. It's really cool, really, really cool. Okay, so let me stop sharing. So hopefully you guys got some good ideas here as to how you can manage your team remotely as well using these organizational tools. Okay, cool. Let's get back to what I want to share with you on my screen. So these are wonderful tools that once you know, let me just say that like now more than ever, now more than ever, it's harder in the sense that the technology stack is so much bigger than it ever used to be. But the good news is once you learn them and you start using them, they will make your life a whole lot easier, all right? So these are some organization tools. Now let's talk about some productivity tools. So the productivity, this is how you're going to keep people on track. So if you're worried, this is always the big concern with virtual teams or people working from home is, you know, you might be worried that they're going to be going hiking and they're actually not at the office, right? Or they're not at home, or that they're going to be on Facebook or Instagram all day just having fun, or just, you know, watching Netflix all day. So if you're worried about this, there's actually a variety of productivity tracking tools that you can use and actually install on their computers. So these range from screen captures that actually take screenshots of their computers on regular intervals so that you can see what they're working on. I love that. Or if they've had the same screen up for an hour, right? So if they've had the same screen up for an hour on their computer, well, you know that they're probably away from their computer, or maybe they're searching the web, right? They're actually just not working. There's also some other tools that will give you an overview of the time that they spend on different applications or different tasks on their computer. So are they using Photoshop, or is it LinkedIn, or is it PowerPoint, or is it the CRM? Whatever you need them to be doing, you obviously want them to be spending most of their time using those apps. So some of these tools will allow you to see where are they spending their time. I love that. So while we actually don't use these tracking tools for our staff, because we actually have other ways to track their activity, it can be really useful for some of you and will create more accountability for your staff. Your staff need to know that you know what they're doing. And once they know that, you know, Big Brother or big business is watching them, you know, they'll just naturally be more productive because there's that feeling of that accountability built in. So some software you might want to write down, there's Time Doctor. We've used that before to actually just track our time to help us manage our time better. So there's Time Doctor, there's a Roadmap app, there's Hive Desk, and, you know, scores of other apps as well. So I'm curious, let me ask you guys this question here. Are you using some of these tools right now? So let me launch this poll. Do you plan to install, or do you already have installed productivity tracking software on your employee's computer? Let's find out where everyone's at right now. Yeah. You know, and Gabriel just shared something really great here. It's so true that, you know, when you're tracking productivity, this is actually going to help build trust, right? Because when they're using these tools and they're independent and they're autonomous, you realize that you're able to measure their performance, so it's going to build you know, more results and achievements and whatnot. Yeah. Right. Yeah, Gabriel adds that the best tool might be a proper incentive scheme. Well, that's a whole other webinar, right? How to incentivize your team. That's an important one. But we obviously have to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do at a bare minimum, right? So yeah, with 81% of the votes in, that's awesome. That's our highest numbers so far today. This is great. Let's look at the results. 89% of you won't install any productivity tracking software on your employees' computers. I wonder why. Can you guys share in the chat? Why is that? I'm really curious. Why not? Okay, so one of you, you say that the CRM monitors them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Right. Linking productivity to outcome. I love that. Have the right compensation plan to motivate them. That's great. And I love how some of you guys are talking about focusing on the outcome, right? So just one thing that I want to add, which I think is super important, right? Incentive plans, all of this kind of stuff. So one thing that I want to add for you guys, just something to think about. Now the CRM, so, Isaac, for example, you just mentioned, hey, the CRM is there. So the CRM is really great for tracking. So that's great. What we have to make sure, though, is while you can have goals and you can measure their outcomes or their performance at the end of, a month or a quarter, we're talking about, how do you make sure that they're productive now? So if there's any kind of productivity tracking tools that you can use just to kind of keep an eye on them, at least at the beginning. I love trust, and you got to trust your team. If they're a highly functioning team, right, and maybe they've worked remotely before, this can be great. But if you have any doubts at all, and it's not even about professionalism, it's just like people get distracted, okay? And I guarantee you, if you're not tracking their performance, like, you want to know now, not later, how they're doing, right? So sometimes just letting them know that you will be tracking and monitoring will help them take more ownership. But trust is an important thing, right? And some say you got to earn it. Some say it's there until they break it. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that research shows that when you have productivity tracking tools, people become more productive. So that's all I'll say about that. But this is a really, really interesting result. I did not expect 89% of you to not be on board with that idea. Maybe you can let it sit and see if it percolates, and maybe you'll change your minds, or maybe not, and that's okay. That's okay. All right. So I got a couple more things that I want to share with you before we wrap up that I think you're going to find really useful. So these are just, a handful of some productivity tools. But at the end of the day, we need to manage the current situation, because this is unprecedented. It's unlike anything we've ever had to deal with before. So, while we want and we need everyone to be as productive as possible, we also have to be aware that there's going to be lots of distractions, right? Especially at home with kids. Especially, some of you have your kids out of school right now. Our kids, as of next week, are going to be on spring holidays. And I'm just shocked that Auntie Joy has been able to keep our kids busy and quiet this whole hour, right? I'm shocked, really shocked and impressed. But now more than ever, there's tons of distractions. Kids are out of school. One of our sales reps in both the Philippines and Canada, the schools are closed right now. So, they're looking after the kids at home. So it's like all hands on deck. Look, the reality is things are going to take longer to get done now. They're going to be less productive. So let's just remember to try to balance, the need to make a profit with understanding that, look, it's not business as usual right now. I mean, it's very strange times. So something that we've been doing is we've been checking in with our team on a regular basis and just asking them, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? What are you grateful for? And I've shared my feelings with the team. There have been days where I felt confused and frustrated and at the same time, optimistic and hopeful about the future. So just I've been vulnerable and transparent and sharing with my team. And that has helped, I think, foster this relationship of trust where we're all feel free to share without, any repercussions. So I think that's been really helpful. So I just want to share a few tips. When you guys remember this, right? I've been waiting for this to happen to me on this webinar, and it hasn't happened. But I remember this was like a couple years ago where this guy, the BBC guy, was sharing, and then all of a sudden his kids come crashing through the house, right? So it's bound to happen, and you just got to roll with the punches. I mean, don't take yourself too seriously. Okay, I've just got a quick chat here that I just want to check before we move on, just to make sure that everything is okay, huh? Just make sure everything is okay. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, thank you, Isaac. I know, thank you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, right on. Okay, cool. There we go. Oh my God. So that's what it's like sometimes working from home, believe me. And look, the look on his face is priceless. It's one of resignation. It's one of rage. It's just crazy, just crazy. So here's just a few final tips on how you can keep your staff motivated when they're working from home, because it's not as easy, right? So here's how. You got to constantly check in on them all the time. Invest in them, okay? Give them the training that they need right now. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, the last thing that you want to do, okay, the last thing that you want to do is to have your team at home and they're not busy, they're not doing anything, or maybe they're getting distracted or losing focus. So if you want to keep your team motivated, train them. I've got one customer that, like, they're retailers. Well, their product advisors can't sell anymore. So they're working from home. Well, what the heck is a retail sales rep supposed to do when they're working from home? So we said, look, sign them up for SoCo Academy, our e-learning program, so they can actually be learning some sales skills instead of watching Netflix. So that's the thing. So right now, most of our clients are implementing our e-learning platform, SoCo Academy, and they're pairing it with live webinars like this so that we can actually keep training their teams. We've been doing private webinars too on how to sell using digital tools like this, how to network online. Pretty much all of our 7 pillars that you see here, we can also train virtually, and that's been awesome. With a private group, we can even open it up for more collaboration and more sharing. This is more of a, I'm sharing some ideas and tips with you, but when we do a virtual workshop with a team, it's a lot more interactive, and we're doing some activities and some exercises and some brainstorming and sharing. We've got the team sharing their cameras, their videos, they're unmuted so we can talk. We put them into breakout sessions so they can work as pairs or groups in different virtual breakout rooms. It's just awesome. And we break up the training. If it's a one-day program, we break it into 90-minute bite-sized sessions with some breaks. And we've just found, honestly, that it's just as engaging when you do it right as live training. And to be honest, it just helps bring your remote sales teams closer together. So look, I just want to thank you all for being on the call today. It's been great having you. Thank you for participating and sharing in the polls. And feel free to drop me a message if you've got any questions at all. If you want to talk about how we can do a live customized webinar for your team, if you want to learn about SoCo Academy, or if you just have some questions about, how do we get our team through these challenging times, feel free to drop me a message. I'm happy to help. So thanks so much, you guys. I'm going to end the call here. We recorded this session, so we'll send you guys a recording so you can review it later on at your leisure. Thanks so much for your participation and for being here. And I know that by applying some of the tools that we shared here today, you guys are going to be ahead of the game, and you'll be able to manage your remote teams more effectively. Thanks so much for your time, you guys, and have a great weekend ahead. Take care, everyone. Hey, cool. Yeah, you're most welcome. Thank you. Yeah, you're most welcome. Thanks, Angela. Cool. Stay safe, everyone. Yeah, thanks, guys.